One piece of dive gear maintenance that often gets neglected is looking after your cylinder. Divers look at all of their dive gear and what needs washing after a dive, and they have this kind of personal attachment to things like their regulators and their BCD because they're bloody expensive, but their cylinder, if they even own one, it's often seen as like this tough metal block that just kind of looks after itself. It's fine. Only if you look around the back of any dive center, you'll probably find a stack of failed cylinders. Dive cylinders do need maintenance and they don't last forever. Hi, all of you awesome scuba divers out there. Welcome to the Scuba Diver Magazine channel, your favorite place for the latest scuba diving news and gear reviews. Yeah, somebody actually asked about this, whether they needed to wash their cylinder between dives and to focus on the valve itself, and it made sense that if one person asked this question, then maybe other people had the similar question. But the short answer is yes, you do need to wash your cylinders. This episode is sponsored by Solitude World, a collection of dive resorts and liveaboards across Indonesia, Philippines and Palau. So whether you're chasing mantas in Raja Ampat, macro diving in Anilao or blue water drift diving in Palau, Solitude has you covered with Solitude One, the Solitude Adventurer and the new Solitude Gaia liveaboards and resorts like Solitude Acacia and the Lemba. These operations are purpose-built for underwater photo and videographers with dedicated camera rooms and studios, large rinse tanks, air blowers for drying your gear, and proper charging and editing stations so that your kit always stays safe and ready between dives. If you want to level up, Acacia runs photo workshops and is an official Velo dive center, perfect for honing composition in a place where the macro is world class. Check the link in the description for dates, rates and current promos, and a big thanks to Solitude World for supporting the channel. All cylinders should be rinsed with fresh water after diving, particularly after salt water exposure. But they do not need the same intensive washing routine as wetsuits, BCDs or regulators. The main aim is to remove salt and grit from the exterior and to protect the valve area, the cylinder, the necks and the shoulders, and it's just a good excuse to notice wear and tear and like corrosion. If you're washing your cylinder, then chances are you're looking over it just incidentally and, is that a little dent? Maybe that's something I should keep an eye on. Even a straightforward rinse after each saltwater diving day reduces long-term corrosion, cosmetic damage and salt buildup in like valve components. Before rinsing, it's good practice to ensure that the cylinder is not empty and actually retains pressure inside of it, because a pressurized cylinder is far less likely to let any kind of water or moisture in. If all of that air pressure is trying to escape, even if you accidentally knock the valve, it's going to make a lot of noise. You'll probably get wet, but at least the inside of the cylinder won't. Whereas with a completely empty cylinder, I just take that straight to the dive center and let them deal with it. Clean the exterior using low pressure fresh water, just from like your garden hose. Rinsing thoroughly around the valve, the hand wheel, the valve body, where all those kind of nooks and crannies are that salt water can find its way in and then takes a while for it to get out. The shoulder, neck area, just kind of wash around where all of those stamps are, and the base of the cylinder as well. Avoid directing a really forceful jet of power at like openings. If you've got like a pressure washer, I wouldn't use one of them, especially on a painted cylinder. Avoid any like real like jets of water around any kind of like sealing surfaces. If the cylinder is particularly dirty, just a mild soap detergent with a soft cloth or a brush is appropriate, followed by a complete fresh water rinse so you get all of that detergent off of it. And you can use your hands to physically kind of wash any kind of salt buildup and stuff away, maybe even a gentle toothbrush just to sort of get in those nooks and crannies. Cylinder boots, the rubber boots that you put on the bottom of the cylinder, they can trap salt water. If you've got mesh around your cylinder as well. That can help to just hold that water because of surface tension against the cylinder. And so it's worth removing the boot and anything on the cylinder periodically. You don't have to do it every single time, but maybe like once a month or so to rinse and fully dry underneath. It really depends how much you're diving. This matters particularly for steel cylinders, but it's also good practice for aluminium tanks as well, because aluminium can corrode. After rinsing, dry the cylinder and the valve area with a towel and allow it all to air dry, and then reassemble, put the boot back on or something, and then you can store it away, because storing the cylinder wet, especially with moisture trapped under a boot, accelerates corrosion just in that area. Typically we try to keep water out of the inlet itself, but it is good to give it a wipe and a clean, just with a clean cloth. Salt can find its way into the threads, and if you don't have dust caps to protect it, especially when you're on the dive deck, you've got all the spray coming over when your regulators aren't attached, then stuff can find its way into that outlet. So it's good just to use a damp cloth, just wiped inside, and then if it's a white cloth, you can see if there's any dirt in the threads, and then follow that with a paper towel just to soak up and remove any remaining moisture. If water does find its way inside of the outlet, don't worry too much. I wouldn't rush it to my dive center, especially if there's air pressure inside. That's going to prevent it from getting inside of the main body of the cylinder. Just towel dry it, open the valve a little bit, just to blow out any moisture in that little, that very little inlet. But this is going to spray, of course, some of that water out of that inlet, so make sure nothing sensitive is in front of the valve, like your face or your first stage, and then paper towel it to soak up any remaining droplets, because you don't want them like remaining between the threads or like around the sealing surface, so that when you next attach your first stage, it just blows water straight into your regulator. Ultimately, as with most of your dive gear, it needs a fresh water wash to wash away any salt and grit that may have accumulated anywhere, remove any extras that can trap water against the metal and hold it against your gear, and then dry it thoroughly. When storing, store it upright. I'll probably do a completely separate video on that if I haven't already, but yes, scuba cylinders for long-term periods should be stored in upright position, secured, so that they basically can't fall. And if you ever empty the cylinder all the way, take it to your dive center, tell them that it's completely emptied itself, and they can check it over to make sure that it isn't corroding inside. Remember to check out today's sponsor by clicking this link up in the corner of the screen or down in the description. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel here on YouTube. Thank you for watching, everybody, and of course, safe dive.